こは冒険者たちが活躍するのにぴったりな場所だと思いません？
確かに将来性がありますね。
なんだ、最近はどこも仕事が多いって話なのに、俺んとこには全然来ねえ子たちにしよう。ステージで家を買えるし、もう出るだろうね。
ここは冒険者たちが活躍するのにぴったりな場所だと思いません？
なんだ、最近はどこも仕事が多いって話なのに、俺んとこには全然来ねえぜ。
ここは冒険者たちが活躍するのにぴったりな場所だと思いません？
なんだ、最近はどこも仕事が多いって話なのに、俺んとこには全然来ねえぞ。ステージ内まで家を運べるし、今日出るだろう。
浮世の風景は幾千年も変わらないというのに、人の世とはこうも白露と泡のように儚い。つれづれなるままにひくらし、すずりに向かして
ここは冒険者たちが活躍するのにぴったりな場所だと思いません？
なんだよ、最近はどこも仕事が多いって話なのに、俺んとこには全然来ねえぞ。
下の地ではめったに見られない品種が揃ってるわ。
やっぱりモコモコたちにしよう。ステージ内まで荷を運べるし。
せっかくのチャンスだ。本気を出して俺を楽しませてくれ。投稿も一つの選択だよ。俺は敗者に優しいからね。悪くないね。
岩山八九、
褒めてあげよう。
剣女盤石。
星と深無事今日の依頼星と深淵
2 hours. Oh yeah, can I do her Selenic Chronicle for the week, or is she locked because of the quest? I assume she's locked, right? Yeah, I keep forgetting to do this. That's the problem with this, is that, like, one, it's weekly, and two, it's like there's no kind of reminder that, oh yeah, by the way, you have to pop back here once a week. But I'll eventually do it. Just like, I just gotta remember to do it. Like, I could have gotten that first tier already if I just remember to come back here. It's just like, when you first log in, if you're coming back to Nalakrai, you literally cannot even see it from the map from here. You cannot even see where you need to go, so you don't get any sort of like reminder, which is kind of makes it rough. Oh yeah, that's what we were doing. I forgot. Is that where this was? Oh. Yeah, I guess I never really thought of where the fuck we were.
These 服装から見るに、みんなかつてのヒペルボレイヤ人の巨英でしょうね。つまり、決心の名前に関する。なあ、決心の名前って知ってるか？
なんだ？
ああ、いきなり聞いても意味わからないよな。
Well, it's also super weird because there's 3 moons. What's the moon goddess's name? You're only looking for Columbina's name. So you should be asking, what's the frost moon goddess's name? Because that's the actual moon goddess you care about. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell if these if 6,000 years ago the moons were destroyed. I'm thinking it was, because I'm thinking the Archon War was the fight, the Abyss thing fight. Although it could have been 6,000 years ago. Maybe the first 7,000 year ago Archon War was when we kicked the dragon away, and then he came back 6,000 years ago. Because like this place was swarming with Abyss, which would make sense. Or Archon War could have been the Abyss Dragon coming back, and when the Abyss Dragon came back, the Abyssal Hounds were like ravaging the Teyvat for like 1,000 years. Hard to say. Like, yeah. Hopefully we'll get more information about kind of what was happening when the Hyperboreans were around, and also what the Archon War really was. Because I'm thinking it makes more sense for the Archon War to be when the Abyssal Dragon God came back to try to take back everything, and corrupted Teyvat with all his Abyss power and shit. And so maybe, and then like False Sky and then because that him coming back is when the moons were destroyed too. So that's the kind of weird thing. And I guess like supposedly, actually no, yeah, 6,000 years ago is when the Hyperboreans, they said they supposedly reached out to the moons and saw the shattered moons. So it does make it far more likely that 7,000 years ago Archon War was in fact a fight against that Abyss Dragon.
月はとっくに消えてしまった。新たな月神が生誕すれば、我々は全ての手段を尽くした。
Yeah, and that is the interesting thing too. We're trying to get Columbina's name, but it's like, well, like she only came into existence 500 years ago or so, right? So like, would she even identify with the name of the old moon? Sure, she's the goddess of that moon, but it's like, is it the same goddess reborn? Like, is it kind of like Rare, where she eventually just reformed the shattered pieces of her body and is the same person? Or is she completely a different entity, right? Is she the new moon goddess that has no relation to the old one beyond just being the goddess of that moon, right? So finding her old name might not mean shit because it's the same reason why she doesn't identify with Columbina or Kuthar. It's just like, yeah, the reason why we can't use those names is because she doesn't identify with them. So even if we find her old moon goddess name, like, would she identify with that? She herself doesn't remember her name, so like she might not. I mean, she might. There's no harm in trying, I guess, but still, it could be a futile endeavor anyway. I think what is going to happen at the end of this quest is she's just going to choose to identify with one of the names she already has. I assume Columbina, right? I assume she's going to be like, you know what? Columbina's not that bad a name. That will be mine from now on. And then she'll establish a connection with this world based on everyone's understanding that her name is Columbina and her recognition of it.
昔のヒペルボレイヤ人は経験だったようだね。
新しい月神というのは、しかし残念ながら彼のいる時代からするとクータルの誕生は遠い未来のことだ。
でもさ、
Well, yeah, well, they're already fucked anyway. But yeah, I mean, from their perspective, it's gotta be rough for them because like they worship them so much, and then they find out, oh shit, they're dead. So that's gotta be a huge hit to their faith.
その通りだ。注意深く見てみよう。服装でわかるはずだ。
そうだぞ。ずっといっぱい。ああ、大丈夫。気にしない。ヒペルボレイヤ人にとっての月神はきっと遥か昔の月の三女神のことなのよ。彼らから今の神と竜の戦争でボロボロになってしまった世界で、彼らはかつて月神から与えられた数。なるほど。
引き続き他に手がかりがないか探して
It's weird though. They prayed. I mean, I know. I guess that's fine, right? Because the when the dragons really fought back was when the elder dragon god became back empowered with the abyss. And up until that, like after they kicked the dragon, I mean, there might have been a time when they like were fine with the dragons, right? Chilled the dragons for a bit, but then eventually, like, then tensions might have risen. And they they were able to repel. Like, I don't know if they repelled the dragon god right away. Maybe that's what happened. heavenly principles arrived, kicked the dragon god away, took over, and then there was relatively peaceful. Maybe even between the ancient race, maybe they were fine. I'm kind of curious when they took the dragon's power. I assume they took the ancient dragon's power. Actually, no, maybe that was right away. Maybe they kicked the elder god away, and that's when they extracted the get dragon's power into to power their archons, right? And then the elder dragon came back, corrupted with the abyss, and there was a huge fight. We haven't learned a lot about it. Obviously, there's not many instances where we can get more information. Jesus Christ, look at that name. This is a name that would win you a lot of points in Scrabble.
月が昇れば捨てる神へ
こっちの道はゲートがあるから行けないな。大丈夫よ。これでどうかしら。これまで装置が形状を維持していたのよ。装置のコアを外せば、
Wow.
しなくなるわ。
Oh wait, what the fuck? Oh, this is Enconomia. This is the structure of Enconomia. That's a very similar structure that they had in Enconomia that had this big light source.
我々の目的地か。随分と立派だな。
正確には私たちを目的地まで運んでくれる装置だけどね。
I don't know if it's exactly the same. So is that what that was? Was that was the moon or was the light source underneath Enconomia? Was that the light source of a false moon?
「例の装置とやらを試してみよう。先ほどのゲートのこと覚えておるだろう。
逆に利用できるなんてな。
ここで会う人々は皆巨霊だが、魔物は実際に存在しているのか。不思議な場所だ。
感心してる場合じゃないだろう。
Ooh, this is gonna be the history.
絵がいっぱいあるな。
So the middle one's obviously a dragon.
そうだぞ。ニコなら何が書いてあるかわかる。どれどれ
Oh, it's three goddesses. So is this when the three goddesses, the heavenly principles, appeared?
これらの壁画を理解するには、宗家の戦いの前後の
確かに話に出てきた内容と一致するな。月の三女神の争い、ニーベルンゲンによる改造。
いいえ、もう一度話すわ。
Yeah, Jesus Christ, can you guys shut up and stop trying to stop her from telling the actual story? Like, we have literally no one in the fucking world who knows this history, and the one time we have someone who actually might have been around at the time, who could actually provide, who has lived for long enough, that could actually provide us the information. You're like, wait, no, let's not tell the story. Dude, this is literally the only time you ever hear her. Like, Nicole's the only one who could tell you this shit. I mean, you could argue Llama now knows it, because Nicole told her, so we could ask her, but even still, it's just like, dude, You're in the presence of someone, like, you're not gonna, this is the first time we've met Nicole. Who knows when we're gonna ever meet her again? Maybe get the information while you can. And I get it, right? Like, they're children. They're not super, they don't particularly care. I do care because I do really like the story. And I do want to know more about it. But it is kind of frustrating when it's like, hey, I have a lot of information that you'd be interested to know. No, that's fine. We can learn that later. It's like, dude, fuck off. Shut up. Like Varka interrupting Nicole. It's like, dude, Varka, shut up. Let her fucking speak. I want to know. And I get it, right? A level of it is just them hyping it up, where it's just like, yeah, like it's like a tease, where it's like, yes, it's a tease saying, hey, look, here's someone who knows this information. Hey, you know how it's a little unclear what happened? Like my guessing of 7,000 years ago, the Archon War was really the Archon War against the Abyss Dragon, you know? I'm guessing that, but we don't know, because there hasn't much information about the Archon War. Like, all that we know about the Archon War was what was told to us, like, in, like, 1.0, 1.1. We haven't really, like, talked about it ever since. Hell, even learning that the Hyperboreans, like, lived 6,000 years ago. I don't know if we were ever told. I think someone mentioned the Hyperboreans, but I don't think we were told exactly when they lived. So, like, basically up until this point, the Teyvat history has been like, yes, 7,000 years ago was the Archon War. Then nothing happened until 500 years ago when a shitload of stuff happened, where the Conrians appeared, the Lord of Kusanali appeared, the Deshretet civilization collapsed. You know, all that shit happened 500 years ago. But the last big event we knew of was from 7,000 years ago, the Archon War. Like, we had no information about anything that happened in between. That's why it was kind of interesting when we learned more about what was happening in Conra, in Raymer's memories, where they were talking about the Red Moon worshippers. I'm like, well, 500 years ago is when shit hit the fan. And the Red Moon worshippers were the previous rulers of Conra. That presumably happened earlier. Like, so it had to have happened more than 500 years ago. So that does. I was like, I wonder kind of what time frame that was happening. Was that like hundreds of years before? And then the asshole king was trying to hunt them down now that he wanted to get something from the Red Moon? Because it made it seem like that the current dynasty had taken over from the Red Moon people, but then it had felt that some time had passed, so that the current king was not the king who took over the Red Moon, but like the Red Moon dynasty fell, replaced by the previous dynasty, by the current dynasty of Conria, and then, you know, a few kings had passed, until finally this one king got corrupted, and then started being like, no, I want more moon power, and then started hunting them down. So it made it feel like there was like a few hundred years in between the fall of the Red Moon's dynasty and the current one. But obviously hard to say. They didn't explicitly say. That was just the vibe it gave. That had been some time. Because they made it seem that, like, yeah, like, they were fine, like, they were chilling. No one did anything with them, and then he all of a sudden was doing shit like this. So, either way. But yeah, so like we didn't really have much interest. So that's why when they mentioned like, oh shit, 6,000 years ago the Hyperboreans, I'm like, oh my god, like, so we know of a people that existed after the Archon War, but you know, before the Conrian times. We're filling in kind of that big, huge gap. And even if there's not much, right, I'm fine with, you know, history of back then not being well known. But it would be kind of nice to know, you know, a little bit more about the events that occurred, especially, you know, big ones like this, where, because like we kept. In Natlan, we learned a lot more about the dragon race. You know, like how Nepha's core was one of the AI the dragon race had created. We got into the dragon race civilization, like, so it's like we knew about them, and we knew that from them, it was a kind of, we learned that the normal people of Teyvat, the current people of Teyvat, were actually descendants from people who came from beyond the stars. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So it's like, so we kind of learned more about the ancient history, but then we don't really know where the dragons fit in. Like, you know, did they exist and we kind of knew that the Archons had taken the powers from the dragons, right? We knew, because we had met Ophep, the the Dendro Dragon. We obviously met Nuvolette, the current Hydro Dragon. So like we had met some and are aware of some of the dragons. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You know, I'm not sure if Dvalin is the current Wind Dragon or if there actually is another more powerful Wind Dragon out there somewhere. Hard to say. But even still, like we are kind of aware of that. But yes, the Archons kind of took the power from from those dragons, and the Heavenly Principles allowed that. So it would be nice to know, kind of like, you know, just more about the history. Like, well, yeah, how did this happen? Like, and then we had that teaser video on YouTube where like the three goddesses were interacting with each other, and he was like, oh shit. And then we learned like Rhine-Daughter had somehow combined with the goddess of life. And we're like, how the fuck did that happen? When the fuck did that happen? So it is kind of curious to see what's going, like what happened with them. Who are these goddesses? Why are they doing this shit? You know, if there is a reason behind this, or yeah, did they escape from something? Were they just doing a normal colonization? Their planet was full, so they're like, let's go out and explore, and then just were kind of douchey about it and just took over. But anyway, 1 second. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm kind of excited about. Like, obviously, this is going to be, you know, we're learning more about them. I don't think this will be everything, you know, but, and that's why like I was kind of annoyed every single time they kind of cut Nicole off from telling the actual history. Like, dude, like she's like an angel, so presumably she might have existed since the time that the Heavenly Principles first arrived. She would be a source of great information. Especially because she said she was able to retain her form and power, which means she probably didn't have, you know, periods of hibernation or something, or even maybe she did. Either way, like the fact is she's like as complete as an entity can be, so she should have the most amount of information, and so we might learn a little bit more. Like I assume the false sky is up there to protect ourselves from the abyss. I think the dragon god, I think the Archon War was the fight against the abyss riddled dragon god. When they beat the shit out of him, the moons were shattered, the goddesses were dead, and there was abyss running all over the fucking place. And so the people of the time put up the false sky as a barrier against the abyss, which is reinforced by the third Sumerian desert area, right? When we go to that desert, there's a crack in the sky, and it seems like abyss is pouring out. And then we had to empower the tree, and the tree was able to purify and repel it, right? So it's like, it seems like, yeah, where there are cracks in this layer and boundary, abyss seeps in. So it seems like Teyvat's basically surrounded by it. And like you have Alice who's protecting against the barrier, so it's like, clearly it's an important thing. So while Scaramouche and people might be bitching and moaning about the false sky keeping us trapped, Okay, let's do this shit.
でもその後、天理がテイワットにやってきて、月の三女神の力では天理に抗えなかった。でも本質的に月の三女神はこの星の存続と運行を維持しているから、三人の
ニーベルンゲンが帰って
そうよ。そうして始まったのが草加の戦い、ニーベルンゲンと天理の戦争だった。
Oh, okay, cool. So I was right. I was. They keep saying the War of Funerary Flame, and I was assuming that that was the war when Nibelung come back. I was also assuming it was also the Archon War. So that is. But then when they changed the world, it down. Yeah. So was it? Oh, did they fight a war? Because like obviously he returned, right? When Nibelung came back, but here they were like, yeah, he's the rule. Then they showed up, and they changed it completely. And Moon Goddess was not strong enough, but they don't really mention Nibelung at this time, right? Obviously he left, and we know he left, came back with the power of the Abyss, and thus began the War of Funerary Flame. And they really showed, was there a war to kick him out, or did the goddesses just appear and were way too powerful, or like the Heavenly Principles was way too powerful, so he left without a fight, you know? Which would then be like, okay, so the Archon War wasn't kicking Nibelung out the first time. It seems like the Heavenly Principles were just that strong, and they didn't need to fight, they just bitch slapped him out. And so this is what I think the Archon War was, the War of Funerary Flame, because that would explain why, you know, so many gods died, against, you know, fighting against the Abyss and the dragon that brought it. Let's see if they also call it that.
月の三女神の中でも意見が分かれたの。月を登らせたのはニーベルンゲンなのだから、彼に従うべきだと主張した女神もいれば、自分たちが戦争に巻き込まれると、世界はより破滅に近づき、計り知れない結果を招くと考え、しかも、当時は創造主である最終的にニーベルンゲンは女神たちの裏切りに気づき、彼女たちを武器？ええ。そうしてかつてこの星を守っていた月は、かつて天理は月の三女神と平和の契約を交わしていた。別の説もあるけどね。天理は月の神が囚われたことを知らず、真相はどうあれ天理は二つの月を砕き、もう一つの月を偽りの空の外に放った。ニーベルンゲンが崩落した後、
I thought they just might have like gotten destroyed in the power clash between Nibelung and the Heavenly Principles. They just happened to be in the vicinity, but it seems like they were intentionally destroyed, which does kind of suck. Nibelung basically fucked over the goddesses by forcing them to be weapons when they didn't want to be.
でも一つだけ確かなのは、その後テイワットに属さなくなった月の、そうだったの。
月がテイワットに属さなくなったにもかかわらず、コロンビーナはなぜテイワットに生まれたのだろ
う。おそらくまだ砕けていない蒼月とテイワットの間に古のつながりが残ってたせいでしょう。最初から彼女たちはそうだったのだな。
もし三人の女神が君の言う通りのさ、それなのに私たちの調査にはその
彼の承諾を信じるべきだろうか。信じ。
なぜこの世界の創造者は自らの民を憐れまないのだ。彼曰く
何か変ね。
Well, yeah, of course there's going to be no reference of a Columbia. No shit. It was a name given by the Vitsui now. Why the fuck would her name appear back then?
頭の中に30
Unless, of course, the reason why her name was in quotes was
できなかっただけ。昔のことすぎてよく覚えてない。
is because they didn't mean no mention of Columbina in the literal sense, in the literal the word Columbina, unless they were just referring to Columbina the entity. Or it's like, yes, no mention of I mean, yeah, lots of things of a Columbina. So yeah, like, I guess what they mean, but like, it just at that point, just say the Frost Moon goddess, right? There's no mention of a Frost Moon goddess because that's what she is, you know. So rather than refer to her by name, which would obviously not exist in a books 6,000 years ago, where the Frost Moon goddess might have been referred to. But yeah, I think because they put it in quotes. Well, that's the thing is, it's tough to say because, like, when dealing in like code and coding and stuff like that in like SQL queries, if you put something in quotes, that means you're like you're actually doing a query search against that string. You're like, yes, I'm doing a control F for the string Columbina when you put something in quotes, right? So if you didn't have it in quotes, you might assume, oh, I might be looking for the entity known as Columbina, for an entity known as Columbina. But by putting it in quotes, so you could interpret it as, well, I'm looking for literally the word Columbina, which is how you do it in coding, or you could interpret the quotes as like, no, we're not looking for Columbina in the current sense, but since that's the only name we really know her as, they're just like, yes, we're just looking for an entity similar to the one that we know as Columbina type thing. But again, both problems would be solved if you just did looking for a Frost Moon goddess, because that's what she is. That is what she is, regardless of what we call her. Yeah, it's definitely. So yeah, so it seems like Antonomia was a Hyperborean construct then, which is interesting. I don't know if we were told that back then, but like the construction looks very similar. I guess, and like especially this tower thing is very, very similar to what the one in Antonomia looks like. Oh, whoops.
そう。最初は不安だったけど、近づいた時に空爆の流れを感じ取れた。ただ、これを起動する
道中で見かけた装置のコアのようなものがあれば。
確かに、ヒュペルボレイヤ人なら保険。さあ、働きな。
チュレよっ。
Oh, I see. I gotta do this first. Get this thingy. Open this up, get the core from in here, and then...
あったぞ、こうだ。でもどうやってあそこまで行けば。
上から行って飛び降りよう。
Yeah, get the core from in here, and then come back and get this core. Oh, did I? Oh, fuck, I needed to have brought the core from in here. So I'm gonna shadow. Oh, yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, is it gonna really close that in on me? And yes, it does.
装置が起動した。あの時代の人間にこのような技術力があったとは何とも信じがたいな。
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if we were told when we were in Enkanomiya if the people who built this were Hyperboreans. We might have been, but it was Inazuma, so that's like, you know, year one. Well, actually, Inazuma was within a year of Genshin's release, but by the time Enkanomiya came out, it was over a year. But it was like, you know, a year and a half into the game's release. We had a place like this. So it's just like, huh, wait, what? Oh, there we go. So like a year and a half after this game's release, they had Enkanomiya. And like if they had mentioned the Hyperboreans at that time, I can't remember because it's been 3.5 years since it was out. I assume that's one of the goddesses, right?
ここがかつてヒュペルボレイヤ人が期月の夜、月髄を台の上に置けば月へとつながる。もちろんその前に月神のお嬢さんを見つけない。そうよ。もしかしてでも彼女にはそれとオイラたちはもうでも歴史の絵とかヒュペルボレイヤの人たちからコロンビーナのなそうね。アリスはなら探し出しなさい。彼女はコロンビーナもクータルも彼女の本当だったら今までの歴史の中で 月神の本名なんてなかったという可能性も。
Well, even if the moon goddess did, like, does her iteration of the moon goddess have a name she identifies with? Because again, it's not about what her name is; it's about a name that she identifies with.
残念ながらその事実を受け入れるしかないようだ。
クータルがどのようにして生まれたのかは誰も知らぬが、親となる。
じゃあコロンビーナは本当に
Well, we could just grant her a name, give her a name. Maybe that's all she needs. It's like the never-ending story. You gotta say her name, bitch. Come on, Sebastian, say her name.
あら、私の言い方そんなにネガティブだったかしら。どうしてみんな急に今までの歴史に本名が存在し、アリスの言葉をよく思い出してみて。
つまりまさか。
名前は確かにこの世界との例えると、そう、例えばあなたがテイワットに来たばかりの頃、誰かが後ろで、じゃあ今は？
言いたいことはよくわかった。
I would say it's more a title than a name, but yeah, sure, I understand the point.
人生という長い旅路の中では、家族や友、その人たちが違う名前であなたを呼んだとしても、それとそれを
空。
だから目を閉じて頭の中に。
I mean, honestly, I would say
コロンビーナ。
オイラもコロンビーナっていう。
彼女はとっくにクータルが象徴していたすべ。
みんな答えはも。でも本当にこんなんでいい？おそらく今回の旅では探す過程を経験していなければ、何度も壁にぶつかっていなければ、改めてそう考え。
あの魔女は最初からこの世にコロンビーナの本名など。
さあどうかしらね。ただアリスの満足げな笑顔が目に浮かぶようだわ。
well, the fact that she even says a name that she identifies with, she might, whether or not she knew if she had a real name, she might have still been like, oh, well, actually, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, whether or not she had a name before or not, what you need to find is a name she identifies with, which was a different thing entirely, right? Even if we were able to find a name, right? Even if we were able to find, oh yeah, your moon goddess name was Jane, right, or something like that. Yeah, your name is Jane. If we go back to Columbina and said, yeah, your old goddess name is Jane. Like, if Columbina has no recollection of that, right? It's also like, she was reborn. Like, is she the exact same entity? I don't think so, right? Like, she doesn't remember her name. She doesn't really remember the past either. She only remembers her current existence, which would kind of also signify that whatever name she might have had would not be really one that she would identify with now either. So, anyway, yeah, I mean, I always kind of thought of this. I did actually predict this. I think it was not yesterday. I was at Zenless yesterday. I think the day before yesterday. I was like, I bet what it is, because I picked up on the word identify too. I'm like, I bet what it's going to be is we just need to have her recognize the name Columbina as her name, right? We just need to get her to identify a name, and that's what we're going to have to do rather than find, quote unquote, her name.
みんな
I was Columbina again.
気絶安心して。さっきみんながコロンビーナと呼んだでしょ。名前にそれはどういう原理か解説したい。テイワットの根源のルールを語りたい。何時間でも語れるのに。でも落ち着いて、落ち着きなさいニコ。わかった。とにかく。
では
コロンビーナを呼びも。
あいつのために最高。
そしてコロ。
もう動くための力、意識もみんなはもう扉から出てきたのかな。やっ ぱり間に合わなかったのかな。
名前を教えてくれる？
名前、私の名前は
コロンビーナ。
え
コロンビーナいる？コロンビーナ、初めて会った時教えてくれた名前だよ。ずっとこの名前で呼んできた。
コロンビーナ、
いい名前だよね。私たちとの思い出の中に、お友達との思い出の中にある名前。この名前が嫌いじゃないなら。
呼んだ。好きだよ。だからこれからもそう呼んでね。私の名前はコロンビーナ・ハイポセレニア。
I think Selene has another name from Moon, too.
いい名前だね。
コロンビーナが私のでも、君や他のそれはファデュイのコードね。どうしたの？
嬉しいんだよ。
ありが。
みんなは別のところであなたの名前を呼んでるよ。
うん。みんな私のためにいろいろ頑張ってくれたんだよね。ありがとうって言わないと。
Is she gonna mention, wait, how are you aware of that?
あれ、まさか。
Ah, yeah, so cool.
意識を保ててた間、
いつから？
覚えてる？ナシャタウンにいた時。行こう。
じゃあついてきて。
あ、
どうしたの？
その前に。
行こう、コロンビーナ。コロンビーナさん、よかった。
I mean, generally, I kind of don't like this. I don't like the fact that they just, like, locked me in a cutscene after cutscene after cutscene. It's like, I've been doing this for an hour. I kind of was hoping to do a little bit of the, Finch Ball, although I guess maybe this might be the end of the quest, so then that's fine. I can just, do Finch Ball tomorrow. Because there's a time limit of 4 more days, not including this one. So, I have tomorrow and then 3 more days after that. Basically to the end of the week. But I was thinking, oh, if I get to a good stopping point, I could then just do a little bit of Finch Ball, see what it's like. But they just keep locking. And I was like, okay, well, obviously I'll do this one instance dungeon thing in one go, right? And then it's just like, nope, we're going to, like, layer cutscene, unskippable cutscene after unskippable cutscene with no break in between, right? Like, it's not like we find Columbina and then we're in that zone and it's like, hey, please teleport back here, thus giving me the option to do something else. It makes for better flow, obviously, you know, to have you just progressively go through the quests. But it does kind of suck when you just want to take a break, right? Where you're like, you know what? I've been playing for an hour. I want to take a little break, do something else, come back to it later. I think they've made the quests more epic and interesting. Well, I mean, they've always been epic and interesting. But back in the day, they had better stopping points, right? It was like, yes, you did this quest. you talk to this thing, then you finish the cutscene, and here you are back in the world, being told to go to another location, right? And then you go to that location, and you can just continue. Now they're just like, you know what? Maybe people complain. Maybe people are like, you know what? It's annoying to have to go and then teleport to the next location. Can't you just do it automatically? Maybe there were complaints like that. Personally, I prefer the stopping in between cutscenes, giving people the option to pause.
月の下で生まれ、そう。それと世界の下で生まれ。
いい名前だ。
古本。素敵な時間を邪魔して悪いけど、ナシャタウンのせっかくだし、楽しんでいかない？
ニコさん、私の名前を見つけるの。
どういたしまして。道に迷っている人をおた、それに。
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that lore has been long. We've long since known that lore that the Saleys were angels. I guess that's what Nicole meant, is that she's the one who retained her form and power, because other ones lost their power and their form changed to normal Saleys. But yeah, I was aware of that. I guess they never really talked about how the fucking angels are created.
アリスの方で面倒事があったから。でも安心してね。ナシャタウンのお祭りには魔女会の屋台も出てるのよ。
蒼月の子も様々な遊びを用意した。
Oh, he? Who's that?
アイノさんとイネファさんも何やら準備しておったな。
I don't think we've ever been introduced to a Hexen Circle playing a bee.
そういえばネフェル。ああ。
Although, yeah, we're never really super aware. Like, we kind of get introduced to them when they need to. So, like, obviously we knew of A. And I think there was N and M. I think M is Mona's master. And then R is Ryan Daughter. But then, like, now we have a B. I don't think we ever were introduced to a B before. I don't think they were involved in any of the other shit we were interacting with. Maybe they were referenced during the summer book thing. Maybe they were brought up then. I forget. We definitely were introduced to a few, but I'm pretty sure it was like, I think it was M and N that did most of the shit there. But nah, it's been a while since that summer event, that book one, where we were introduced to Chibi Durin. So I can't remember. Although I should have been streaming it, so I could go back to my VODs and go over it. So there was a lot of exploration though. So finding the specific cutscenes where they talked about who made the world might be challenging.
よかった。え？おいで、コロンビーナ。
So this seems like a time when they would pause, right? But it seems like not. It seems like they're going straight into the cutscene. Again. Oh wow, no, that's actual cutscene. Not an in-game cutscene.
お嬢さん、期月の夜のキャンディーはいかがですか？良い月を。ああ、そうだ。こう言わないと。お帰りなさい、月神様。
お帰りなさい、月神様。お帰りなさい、月神様。
お帰りなさい、月神様。
Oh, I see they say it for everyone. Just happened to be very on the nose for her.
夜の街を家として送る。悪くないアイデアだ。
おそらくこれがナドくらい彼女の生まれ故郷の家としてあるべき姿なのだろう。プレゼントありがとう。
I'm curious though, if we build the connection, like if she has more of a connection with Tavot, like if she we're able to get her form back because she identifies with her name. Is Tavot still draining her? Or if we build a home for her, right? If she's able to recognize, like, is it the heavenly principles that are forcing her out? Or is it that her own, is it because the moon goddesses don't consider Teyvat their home, right? Is it because they consider their own moon, their home, and so being away from their home drains them? So I guess so. The thought, of course, was that it's the heavenly principles are rejecting the moons, but it could be that the moons, heavenly principles are still fine with them, but it was the moons themselves that were rejecting Teyvat, and so they expend their existence just trying to stay alive in this foreign world. So the question becomes then, because like obviously we gave her a name and she identifies with the name, a name that exists for this world, and she was able to get her form back. So if we get her to consider this world as her home, will it no longer be draining? You know, is it work like that, or is it, you know, because if it's an external force trying to push her out, then yeah, there's not much you can do. But if it's always been an internal force, then then she might be able to, make it work. As long as she can consider this place her home, it might no longer be draining for her to live on it.
まさかこんな風
森に木を隠すとは。今回のアイデアはあんたらしくないね、ラウマ。気月。
ああ、普段は渋るオーナーもこの夜ばかりは人脈を駆使して自らことを進めてくれる。なんとも不思議なものだ。
Damn, I missed it. I was too slow to miss that little lightning.
「今ならわかる」「これも」
あれ、みんなここで何してるの？あ、コロンビーナさん戻った。
心配。アリスに頼まれた件は順調か？
かなりの成果があったよ。今回の喜び方はちょっと違う。結果が出たら知らせるから、それまで今のうちに休んでおこう。この
では私もこの辺で失礼しよう。
ああ、私も適当にぶらついてくるよ。
そういえばファルカ
ナシャタウンに着くなりフラッグシップへ向かったよ。
さすがモンド人。
それではコロンビーナさん。
そうと決まればコロンビーナもここでぼーっとしてないで遊ぼうぜ。どこもきっと歓迎してくれると思うぞ。そうだ、この外
Oh, interesting.
ここは草月のこの屋台でラウマが動物たちをたくさんお祭りに。こっちは魔女会が協賛してる屋台。お祭りって聞いて、それとナシャタウンにはいろいろ名物があるんだけど。
ありがとう。面白そうだ。二人は
もちろんオイラたちも遊ぶけど。そうそう、肩の力を抜いて。
そうだね。どこから見ようかな。
Oh, shit.
この屋台は魔女たちの童話の世界に迷い込んだみたい。かわいい。
This has to be unique, right? This has to be the start of something. Okay, I'm gonna try leaving. Okay, so presumably Moon Prayer, yeah, return to Moon Prayer Night. Okay, cool. Thank God. Okay, so it is considered a unique thing. Good. Okay. Because yeah, it's been an hour and a bit. I have no clue how long that's going to take. Obviously, the little progress guide had like a ton of little shops and stuff. There's going to be a ton of character interactions and all that shit, so I will put that off for tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, maybe. We'll see. I might do Finchball instead. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I thought there was gonna be like an event for that, right? The Moon Prayer Night. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's all done as part of the story quest, where they decorate the whole place, and you have to go through all the stalls and stuff. They just made it its own little instance area just to do that. So that'll be interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it for now. I will be back on later today. What am I gonna do today? I think I'll probably do more Borderlands, honestly. I think I'm going to save Final Fantasy XIV for Thursday, because Thursday is when we have the Game Awards, and I think watching the Game Awards, watching a streamer watch the Game Awards, doing a live react with a few of my favorite streamers while I grind in Final Fantasy, because the only thing in Final Fantasy I left to do for the first stage of the Relic Weapons is my botanist, and the gathering ones are very, very hands-on, very, very, where you have to pay attention, you have to actively play the game. It's no longer just sitting down in the middle of the zone, opening up a recipe, pressing macro buttons to do the recipe over and over and over again. This is actually like, move to this location, press buttons constantly to gather as many materials as quickly as you can, or a specific type of thing quickly enough. It's not like that. Or, I mean, it is like that. So it's definitely a lot more active. So having something to watch while I do that, I think that'll be a good time. Whereas, so I'm going to save that for tomorrow. So today, I'll go into Borderlands. I'm actually really close to getting a UVHM5. I just need to do the last vault so that I can accept the mission from Lilith to do the last vault, and then I can accept the final mission to get to UVHM5 by redoing the Timekeeper boss fight quest. And now I'm in UVHM5. I don't know if I'm going to do that all in one go. The vault itself is not super challenging, so doing that and then the hard vault, which is not super hard, they just add modifiers to them. I could do the Timekeeper too. I don't know. I'm just not sure how long the Timekeeper quest is. But yeah, I could just focus on that. I know generally where the vault fragment key is. Like, it's on the map. I found the silo that identifies the general location, but I haven't actually done like a lot of exploration in that zone either. So it's like, do I want to just naturally do exploration in the zone and then find it whenever, or do I want to focus on the vault fragment so that I can then I can then focus on the vault, so then I can just get to UVHM5 first? I guess realistically I probably should do that, because the whole point of being UVHM5 is that you get bonus money, iridium, and that maybe, I don't know if there's an extra drop chance, I'm not sure. But if I do all the exploration first, then all the bonus like money and iridium is basically meaningless, because I've already done all the exploration where I would find these things naturally. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it, but I will be back on later today. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.